Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics I will be looking at the Terrax Assault Drill and be reviewing that on following up on the Chaos Rhino, the Death Card Rhino, let's say from a couple of days ago. So let's get started. So today, the 8th of March, following up on the Rhino review, today we're focusing on the Forge World Chaos Terrax Pattern Termite Assault Drill, a dedicated transport unit that is available to the Death Card now since the FAQ of the Imperial Armor Compendium. So in this video, we'll be looking at the stats, the durability, the transport capabilities, and optimal use. So are the Terrax Assault Drills worth their cost? Let's take a look. So starting with the base stats and the FAQ, the Terrax Assault Drill is now costing between 180 and 190 points depending on the weapon options. It has 14 wounds, so it has some brackets. It can move 8 inches, has a 4+ weapon skill, 3+ ballistic skill starting, strength 7, and importantly a toughness 8, which improves its durability. 14 wounds, as I said, only 3 attacks, 8 leadership, 3+ save, and no inval save. And then as it loses wounds, it degrades the movement, the ballistic skill, and the attacks go down. The abilities it has, the most important one is the Subterranean Assault. So this gives it the possibility to deep strike, and then after deep striking it can disembark its content. So this is really helpful to bring the content as a transport unit. It can deliver its payload safely without risk of it exploding before it has the ability to disembark. It also if it's reduced to 0 wounds, it can explode like other vehicles on a 6, and units within 6 inches get D3 mortal wounds. The keywords are vehicle, bubonic Astartes, transport, Death Card, Plague Company, Chaos, Nurgle, and Heretic Astartes. And if we are looking at these keywords, if we look at the Imperial Armor Compendium, basically it has a Legion keyword, but in the FAQ for the Imperial Armor Compendium says that if they have the Legion and the Nurgle keyword, then you can choose for any of these Legion to be Death Card. So if we do, we replace the unit's Legion keyword with Death Card, and that it gains the Bubonic Astartes keyword, and that unit can be from one of the 7 Plague Companies, so it gains the Plague Company keyword. So previously we couldn't take it with the Legion, but now it says clearly that the Legion will be Death Card, Plague Company, Bubonic Astartes. The Terrax Assault Drill has a transport capacity of 10 Legion Infantry, but now it will be Death Guard Infantry, 12 Death Guard Infantry. I'm not so sure if it should be 12 Death Guard Plague Company Infantry, but for now this is what it says inside the app. And it cannot transport Terminator models. So if at the first glance it looks like quite expensive unit because we are at high point cost here, but it has a high number of wounds and a toughness 8, which is important. It doesn't have any contagions of Nurgle, and it doesn't have disgusting resilience to improve its durability, and it doesn't have an inval save. And as I said, it can transport 12 Death Guard infantry and should thus be able to take Plague Marines, the Virion characters, Lord of Chaos Lord, Plaguecaster without Terminator armor, and now it should be also able to take the Possessed, the Poxwalkers, and even Cultists should be able to go inside the Terrax Drill. And the Subterranean Assault ability, the drill and the contents can deep strike from turn 2. After the drill deep strikes, the contents can disembark. Everything has to be 9 inches away from enemy units. Unfortunately, it's not like we can disembark the 3 inches and have a 6-inch charge. That would be really great. But we have to, what comes disembarking, it has to be 9 inches away from the enemy units. Now let's move on to its weapons. So the Terrax Drill, it comes standard with a Terrax Melta Cutter, which is a really awesome weapon. So a heavy 5 Melta gun with a range of 12 inches, with a strength 8, AP -4, damage D6, and D6 +2 at half range. That means 6 inches. And for example, point blank range, it will be shooting with additional damage. And then it has a melee weapon, which is also good, the Termite Drill itself. It has a strength ×2, AP -4, and the damage is D3 +3. and basically with a strength of 7 this becomes a strength 14, and on top of this it's a d3 plus 6 damage versus vehicles. So if the termite drill can charge some tanks in the enemy's backline, it will be able to do a lot of damage, but unfortunately it only has 3 attacks, and the attacks can bracket. Then it also has as a standard 2 combi bolters, which is basically the standard combi bolter, 24-inch, double shooting at 12 inches, and then it has the but here we can select to replace the 2 combi bolters with two twin Volkite chargers for 5 points each. So if we take both of them, it will be 10 points more, and each of them has is a heavy 4 weapon, 20-inch range, strength 5, AP 0, damage 2, and on top of this, unmodified wound roll of 6 does additional 1 mortal wound to the target. So this can give us basically 8 attacks with some nice chances to get some mortal wounds on top. We can also replace the combi bolters with 2 heavy flamers. So each flamer for the same cost as the bolter, basically. So we have each heavy flamer is heavy d6 weapon, 12-inch range, strength 5, AP 1, AP -1, and damage 1, and it's an auto hit flavor weapon, of course. So the Terrax drill has some good weapons, especially at mid and short range. The 5-shot Melta Cutter is, of course, very good. A very strong melee weapon, especially versus vehicles. However, only 3 attacks and a degrading attack profile, unfortunately, and it's only a weapon skill 4 to hit. And then the option is the 2 combi bolters or 2 heavy flamers for the same base cost, or 2 twin Volkite chargers for 10 points more. Now, comparing those 3 options and looking at the average damage at 12-inch range, and the damage is corrected to 100 points because the Volkite charges are a bit more expensive. We can see here on the bottom we have here we would have 8 shots with the combi bolter, so both of them rapid firing at 12-inch. Here we have the 2d6 shots with a heavy flamer, so much better damage than the combi bolters, and then the Volkite chargers that have the additional mortal wound possibility and damage 2. They are better. Basically, they are the best option except for very horde type enemies. So the Volkite chargers are worth 10 points extra to get 8 shots with the chances on mortal wounds. If you want to keep the base cost of 180 points, the heavy flamers are better than the combi bolters, at least in the short range. And since the Terrax drill probably after deep striking will be close to enemy opponents, I think it fits better with a more short range option. So looking at all the 3 weapon configurations and the average damage of per 100 points and the average damage across all the targets that I showed you before, and here I'm not taking into account any buffs, and I haven't included -1 toughness when it's in melee because it lacks the contagion. Basically, of course, some other unit could put the enemy in contagion and then it would benefit from that. But if we look at this one, so we see that at longer range, at 24-inch, basically it's only the bolters being able to shoot 4 shots, but it's very little damage, 0.3 wounds on average. At 20-inch, the Volkites can shoot and do some damage better than the bolters. And then on 12-inch or shorter, the drill comes alive with the Melta Cutter, let's say. So here the flamers and the Volkites together with the Melta Cutter are the highest damage options. And in point blank, it's getting even better because the Meltas are doing more damage, so d6 plus 2. And in melee with its weapon, it can do quite considerable damage as well, especially versus vehicles. So unlike the Rhino transport option, the Terrax drill can do some good damage in itself. It is especially potent in point blank shooting because it's able to shoot its heavy weapons with no penalty. So it's a bubonic Astartes vehicle benefiting from the inexorable advance rule to hit heavy weapons with no penalty. And the Melta Cutter, as I said, will be doing d6 plus 2 damage. So 5 shots of that at short range with point blank range with 3 plus to hit. That's really good. The configuration with Volkite chargers gives the best overall damage. It's a little bit better than the flamers. per point, and it adds also some range up to 20 inches, so it could shoot something further away. Otherwise, if you don't want to take the 10 extra points, as I said before, the flamers are probably the better option compared to the bolters. If I compare the drill's damage output with other death card units, so it's actually one of the top units at short range shooting. So it's very close to a Plaguebearer Scroller with Spitters and a volley gun, better than the Leviathan, better than a Defiler here with a twin heavy bolter and twin heavy flamer. So better than a Mephitic Blightholder, but less than a Foul Blightspawn, but it's really up there. So it can just it's expensive, but it can also deal damage for this point cost. And then if I look at the vehicles and point blank shooting, then basically the Terrax Drill is on the top of the chart. The only thing that does better damage so far is a Contemptor with two Culverins, Volkites, and the Cyclone Missile. But otherwise, it's one of the top damage dealers in point blank. So yeah, it's not only a transport, it's really a good damage dealer at short and point blank range. So let's look at the Terrax Drill's durability, not point corrected. So the Terrax Drill has a toughness 8 and 14 wounds, and the toughness 8 help it especially versus strength 8 weapons. Here I'm comparing it with the Chaos Rhino. The Chaos Rhino, yeah, of course it's only a toughness 7 and has only 10 wounds. So of course the Terrax Drill can take a bit more shots, but it's much more costly. But unfortunately, the Terrax Drill lacks the invul save and disgusting resilience like the Rhino, and it will eventually go down to melta shots, especially here at half range. At longer range, it can take a few more punishment. At small fire weapons are very inefficient against it because yeah, the toughness strength 4 against toughness 8 is not a good match, let's say. But since it can disembark this immediately after deep striking, the durability of the Terrax Drill is not essential, is not crucial for delivering its content. It's more about how long can it stay alive, dealing damage in the opponent backfield probably, or somewhere in the midfield after it delivers the Plague Marines or whatever it was carrying. Then we would like to have it as much as possible alive, so it can do the very high shooting damage, melee damage, and point blank damage. So looking at its transportation capabilities and the transportation use, as we said, the Terrax Drill can be loaded with 12 Death Guard Infantry, and then it will be set on a deep strike, let's say, and then it can deep strike on turn 2, 9-inch away from enemy units, and then disembark the infantry also 9-inch away from the enemies. And having the ability to have 12 instead of 10 like the Rhino gives some good opportunities. So we can have a full squad of Plague Marines, a 10 melee Plague Marine unit, maximizing the flails and all the good weapons we want to have. For example, and we can add support on top of that. So we can have, for example, Biologus to do the grenade thing, or we can have the Blightspawn, or we can have other supporting characters. I think this would be a best use to be able to bring a very high damage dealing melee unit of Plague Marines safely, and hopefully if they can make the charge, they can do so much damage, and then the opponent didn't have the chance to shoot at them as they were advancing up, or they couldn't shoot the Rhino that they were riding, let's say. It could also be possible to take Possessed with some characters. I personally think that the Plague Marines are better, but it is a possibility to bring the Possessed fast up the field, maybe with 10 Possessed in characters, or maybe filled with 2 units of Possessed. We could also potentially, if it's correct that it can take just any Death Guard infantry, it's the only possibility we have to deep strike Poxwalkers. So we could have 12 Poxwalkers and then add a deep striking Typhus, and then we could have something like from on the Carrion Heaps previously where we could deep strike some Poxwalkers. I don't think this is a bit of a niche. I don't think that's the best use, because it's only a small amount of Poxwalkers, maybe, but it is one possibility to surprise your opponent, maybe. There is no risk, as I said, that the drill is destroyed before it can disembark with the Subterranean Assault rule. Maybe the Auspex can, you have to be a little bit careful. And then the Terrax drill can use its weapons after delivering the payload. It can still shoot, and it has some very good ability, as we saw, at 12-inch range. And we will have both in the ideal situation, both the content, the Plague Marines, for example, or possessed or whatever it was carrying, would make the 9-inch charge, and then we also would like the drill after shooting to make the charge, lock down enemy vehicles, do a lot of damage in melee, and then being able to shoot point blank if the opponent stays in combat. So the Terrax drill would be a very great threat to very good to charge any vehicles that the opponent is hiding in his backlines, doing 6 plus D3 damage with his drill. A 9-inch charge is about 24.5% chance to make with 2d6, and about 50% chance with 1 command point reroll. And of course, the issue with deep strike is always if the opponent has a very good board presence and screens us out of 9-inch squad, we might find ourselves being able only having to deep strike, further up in the midfield. But we could also, depending on how the battle goes, we could wait until turn 3 to deep strike this, but probably you would need the effect of this already from turn 2. So, reaching to the final thoughts and summary, the Terrax drill is a deep striking delivery vessel able to deliver its contents safely from turn 2, and the opponent screening is always, of course, an open question for deep striking. It is a costly unit at 180 to 190 points, but you're not only getting a transport vessel, you are getting actually a very good damage dealer. Especially in short range and point blank range, also with good melee abilities versus vehicles, that is like intimidating and poses a big threat to the opponent's backfield. From its weapon options, the Volkite Chargers for me is better than the other options, but the Flamer options at 180 points is also good, since I would assume most of the time the Terrax drill will be fighting things that are quite close to it. In short range damage, it's comparable to a Plague Scroller with speeders, and in point blank, it's better than most of our other units actually. With toughness 8 and 14 wounds, it can survive a few heavy weapon shots and probably be able to do its damage worth versus enemy units. The Melta Cutter and the Volkites, they can shoot, then we should probably charge, go into melee, and do point blank damage if the opponent is still there in the next turns. And then we rinse and repeat as long as we can keep the assault drill alive, while also the contents, the Plague Marines, probably with melee weapons, are also doing their thing, saturating the opponent's threat in his backline. So I think probably it's really worth considering adding, let's say, 1 Terrax drill as a good option to deliver a full 10-man squad of melee Plague Marines with 2 support units. So what do you think about the Terrax drill, and have you had any tests with it in the 9th edition with our new codex? If you like this video, please press like and subscribe to the channel, where I will be posting more videos on Death Guard topics and tactics and unit reviews. If you want to support my efforts more, please visit my Patreon page at General Yanis, and take part of discussing the roadmap, get some access to some exclusive content, and support the channel. And with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.